I mean, we can.
All right. We are live, Honor Bound, episode 12. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Appreciate you guys stopping by, being here right away. Want to thank also Freeze, Kai, and Yoseii. Appreciate you guys being here and taking the time out of your very busy schedules to be here and discuss For Honor. Today, our topics are going to basically just be centered around the most recent patch that came out with the CCU. We're going to talk about Warmonger as well. And then, as you guys know, this is a podcast where I try to take a competitive spin on the updates and everything. So we're going to talk about the shift in the competitive meta. If you want a reminder of the topics, they should post every once in a while, but you can also do exclamation point topics, and that'll bring them up. I'll be referencing the patch notes and the hotfix patch notes as well, which you can bring up with exclamation point patch notes and exclamation point hotfix. And then, yes, we will be talking about that. Endervex. Whoa, what's up, Ender? I don't think I've ever seen this guy ever. Yeah. Hello. All right, so how's everybody doing? Everybody excited to talk about For Honor in its great state?
No.
All right. So let's start with Warmonger, and before jumping into feats and everything like that, I'm just curious everybody's thoughts on character design, moveset, and everything like that. Like your initial impressions of the character and how those impressions have stacked up now that we've had the character out for a week for everybody else. Some of us in here had early access, some of us in here didn't, so have a little bit more time with the character. Yoseii, as the new person, let's start with you. What were your first impressions of Warmonger, and how do those stack up to them now?
Are you talking like visually or in terms of how the character plays?
Well, how the character plays visually, just overall as a character.
Visually, character is fucking amazing. Like, holy moly. I don't like knight characters, but Warmonger can't change that for me. But, like, moveset-wise, just kind of feels like a more fleshed out Warden, but cooler, animation-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Really more fleshed out Warden?
I don't play Warden anymore, so no clue. Last time I played Warden was before their rework, so...
Yeah, I think it's just the animations that remind me. I mean, even if the bash is basically
the animations
almost
are
identical,
cooler, is my thought.
Yeah, it reminds me of Warden, but I don't know, it feels so much different after a while. Like initially, yeah, but after a while, I don't think it's too much Warden in her.
I mean, personally, from my experience, I feel like without the feats, Monger just feels like kind of like a worse Warden. Like, I like her design better. I like having frame advantage instead of just a vortex. I don't think vortexes are very fun for the opponent. And but like in 1v1s, right? Like you can watch Legion play. He's like always looking for like light blocks just to get some frame advantage, so he can attack a bit safer. And then in 4v4s, and this is 1v1s too, you really lack that spacing that Warden has. That can be so useful to initiate safely, right? Because, you know, she has to be close, and so you need that frame advantage. And so when you're in neutral, you're kind of like, you have to really go for that light, but then you're risking getting parried.
Okay. Yeah, the frame advantage is pretty interesting. I think it's gonna take some getting used to for everybody. I know for me, it's gonna take getting used to. I've tried to attack into something as to try and do a read, and I just get hit with a light or I die from it because I forget that, you know, frame advantage is actually a thing now, at least more so than before.
You need to remember a lot of things now because there are so many exceptions to it. It's not when they say. I mean, even the patch notes say almost all of them. Almost all of these. It's like, yeah, there are exceptions, and if you don't know them, you might get, I don't know, get caught by something you didn't expect.
I mean, I'm not always like a huge fan of like standardization, because, you know, like, right, like in other fighting games, like you pretty much just have to learn the frame advantage on every single attack, and obviously that's pretty hard, especially if you're playing a game like Tekken where there's thousands of moves.
Yeah.
But I like having characters like, oh, this character has ways to give themselves frame advantage, that kind of makes them a bit more unique than the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agree. But to a degree, standardization is fine.
Right, especially on like core, like very core mechanics.
Yeah.
Like Shikoki can't GB twice in a row for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, by
That's
the way,
okay.
that's something I noticed recently. Might have been always a thing. Have you guys noticed like light finishes on some characters make you whiff a GB if you block it and then immediately GB? It's very apparent on Kensei's light finishes, for example. I don't know whether it's always been a thing or now just people get to their light chains a lot more. But yeah, the GB whiffing is happening a lot, and I think it has to do with like getting pushed away from blocks.
I think the only character I've noticed that on is Shun Hu, but I think that was the thing before as well, so I'm not too sure.
Apparently it's on bulk, obviously. And Kensei, and then okay, JJ. Yeah.
I think it's probably anyone with a medium hit stun on lights.
But you said if it was blocked, right?
Yeah, on block.
Yeah, no clue then.
For Honor works.
Standardization.
Yeah. So then, is your overall impressions matching for the character when you first saw her consistent now?
For me, I'd say so.
Okay.
I feel like they're weaker than I first thought. Obviously, like in 1v1s, variable time bashes, like they tend to be really, really good. But I don't know. I guess she just, maybe it is like lacking a vortex that helps her to keep up the pressure.
I mean, my main problem with it is the hyper armor feels kind of useless on it, since depending on I know Warden's, doesn't it have like hyper armor even slightly after it hits? Or am I thinking wrong?
I'm not sure, but
not sure
maybe
either.
Freeze would know.
No. I just saw that it's similar to Goki's Hug. If you dodge attack into it, you can hit armor.
Right.
And
You
then
can
get
get
another
double.
thing. That's the thing on her as well.
Yeah, but I'm talking more like I know like compared to whenever I see other people play against Warden, I can get like actually heavied out, fully charged punch. It'll stagger them, but I don't get to continue. Is what kind of happens. I've never done that
So it doesn't have like the hyper armor on the very last part of it.
Yeah.
I think
I've noticed
that should be given.
I've noticed that against Warmonger as well. If I'm playing Berserker and I just do a late dodge attack, where we trade, I'll get hit by it, but they won't be able to follow through because I'll do damage and it'll have hit stun, and they can't follow up with the heavy because it's not guaranteed anymore.
Right. I know that's the issue. Like that's for some characters. I don't know all the characters who have hyper armor that's like that. But yeah. I don't know why they do that, because it really feels like you get the trade, but then you're like, oh, but I don't.
Right. Well, that makes it easier to defend against, too.
I guess that's true if you like time it perfectly.
Right.
I mean, it's not something you can do consistently, is it?
Right.
Even with a lot of practice, it's just
it's probably too hard.
A game of chance.
Yeah.
One thing I did really like, I mean, it's obviously the same case for Warden, but I know Sasuke was mentioning he wanted Bash on Monger to come out after Heavies too, which would definitely make the character stronger, but at the same time, I liked how the fact that it only comes out after lights incentivizes the opponent to parry lights, which also makes it easier to mully the opponent. So I kind of like that, but at the same time, considering how like she feels a bit weaker, maybe it would be better for her to have
I think
be able to bash after heavy.
I think she'd be fine with them on the dodge heavies, but like actual like in chain or neutral heavies, since the dodge heavies currently have like no actual place in her offense, which is not that great design wise in my opinion.
Could be worse. Could be Raider Zone.
It could be. I think it's an interesting thing to have an unblockable dodge attack. I just think it was implemented kind of weird. Like it's too slow, I think.
I'm actually fine with the
It's
speed.
low.
I just wish it would chain into something like punch or finisher heavies.
Mhm.
Since as of right now, it has like no actual place in her offense, but like defensively, I think it's very well designed. Since it uses dodge frames instead of iframes, so it's more like Celtic Curse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting. You don't see too many characters getting decent offense from their dash attack. I mean, you will now with Jean Hu, because that the dash attack is a 50-50 now. So it's interesting. As a way of punishing bashes, I don't think you can reliably do it on like reaction or read.
It depends. If you just like early dodge on forward dodge, then dodge heavy on orange, then you can punish them.
Hmm.
But like not if they just do instant bash.
Yeah, like the balance between you need to delay it enough to actually dodge and make it early enough for them not to be able to parry. Yeah, balance out.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Freeze, you've had more time with the character than most other people because you had early access. Was your first impressions of the character, are they consistent with what your impression of the character is now, or how you feel about the character now?
Yeah, pretty much. In fours, I mean, it was immediately apparent that that one's going to ruin everything in matchmaking. Just because, yeah, not because of the kit, but because of the feats. And in ones, like in duels, it's, yeah, what do you expect? She's not like top tier there, but still very good. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
played out like I thought. We played a lot of brawls, I guess, so I think she's fine there as well. She did better than I thought initially
Mm-hmm.
in brawls, at least. Yeah, I think her team fight is fine.
Yeah, I for my first impressions, it was kind of difficult for me to judge the character just on moveset alone because when they were showing the feats, because just watching them I kind of knew that this was going to be a problem. Didn't know how big of a problem, but a problem. The moveset felt a lot like Warden, and then when I actually got to play her, it kind of felt like a mixture of Centurion and Warden, kind of. Um, so I figured my impression was the character would be really good in fours with the feats. Without the feats, would be okay at fours, probably not better than Warden at fours, and then would be pretty good in ones because basically the moveset is pretty close to the same idea as Warden. You're using variable time bashes to try and get damage. You have a roll catch that's undodgeable. So it felt a lot like I was just playing a different version of Warden.
What I want to add, if their goal was to have like a good hero, I think they succeeded in that. They didn't go completely over the top with just the kit. I mean, yeah, obviously they put
Right.
it together from many other heroes, but it's not a shit tier hero from release,
Yeah.
and
Right.
also not over the top. They managed to somehow,
She's
hit
not
the
like
top
what's the word? You're not like having a waste of a character on your team by playing her, right?
Yeah.
She's always going to be able to do something, even if she's not like super meta, super viable. It's not like you're picking Nibushi, right?
Yeah, I think in terms of competitive, because the tier 1 has been banned in tournaments, so that kind of basically means the tier 2 and the tier 3 probably won't be used, even if the tier 4 is. So I think with her unique feats being what they are for tier 1 through 3, I think it's a little difficult to run her in a competitive setting. I don't think the feats are good enough. I think there are better options just from feats alone. Like I'd rather run Warden, I think.
Yeah, I'd say Warden's better in 4v4s personally, but I know other people think the opposite. But I'd say they're very comparable still.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that. With tier 1 being banned, I personally think her tier 2 and is still going to be run, since just being able to get an insane amount of survivability off of the insane damage corruption blast does as well, I'd say makes it can't find the right words, gives it more the utility than it deserves to have. But I
I mean,
think
the thing is,
probably
sorry,
just be
sorry,
punched
you
through.
go.
Go ahead.
No, I was just about to say, because like, what else are you gonna pick? You gonna pick Arrow Strike?
Yo, don't diss the thing. The thing is insane.
Yeah, I know. I've
What
gotten
was
killed
the
like
other?
twice since then.
What's the other tier 2 besides Arrow Strike in the unique?
The damage reduction one, like thick skin
With
or
thick
something,
skin
but
or
the worst
something?
one of the two. The worst
Like
one of
the
the two.
warlord version, I think. Or
Yeah,
Right.
so flesh wound, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't know. The tier 2 still being ran, the unique tier 2 being ran, I guess I could see that. To me, it just feels like it's dormant. It's dormant because you're gonna have to get to tier 4 before you can actually benefit from it.
Lucky you're not a character with trash renown gain, so it's all
True.
good.
You're not an assassin. That is true.
Yeah, assassins are either you get it 2 minutes into the game or you don't get it. So
Oh yeah. It's still frustrating as a somebody who likes to play Berserker. I don't like having 8 takedowns and only having my tier 1. It's kind of a
actually, yeah,
unfortunate.
Why are you wearing 2 t-shirts, Soresu?
Well, I mean, okay, so this is a t-shirt, right? And then this is an actual shirt, you know? Like, I'm not gonna wear, like, I wear t-shirts, like, as my pajamas. Like, you want me to...
Oh, okay, I get it, okay.
Yeah.
Back to For Honor.
Yes, thank you, chat, for pointing out that I have 2 t-shirts on. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, so we talked a little bit about our first impressions. We talked a little bit about competitive viability and how without the unique feats she is good, but probably not necessarily the optimal picks. Is there a team composition that you would actually want to run her in, or is she just going to be like, if somebody has her as a comfort pick or wants another bash hero, that they're gonna pick Warmonger because they have more experience than BP or Warlord?
I mean, she doesn't necessarily like excel in any regards without her tier 1, that is. I guess she's not necessarily, I don't know. I feel like where Score was putting her in like the B plus tier, I might even say she's more B tier personally. But I know like Legion, right? It basically only plays her in 4s. And
Yeah.
from what I've heard, his reasoning is just he wants to. So probably mostly just a comfort pick.
And my question would have been like, who are you replacing him with? Otherwise,
Right.
who is she replacing?
Yeah.
That's just, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know who. That's why I thought she'd not get it on.
Zach is right. Best comp is the friends you made along the way.
True.
This is true.
With the team that I'm on, we've been having a bit of a discussion as to who is going to be playing what. And one of our team members really likes to play Warmonger, and he feels like he's been doing decently well. But we're trying to convince him to try and swap off that character, just because the feats are not as great. And currently, as we would be running it, we don't have defensive feats. Like a Umbral Shelter or Phalanx, because Friendship Banner is still pickable, I guess, but it's a lot weaker.
It's weaker.
So
it's like in an okay state. I guess one of the really good benefits is like she's pretty hard to run away from, right? With a Fanable Undodgeable, and if you have like 2 gangers, like you have Scent and Shaman, the enhanced lights can be really nice for gank setups.
Yeah,
and you also have the Undodgeable on top of that. So I guess, right, but at the same time, like, you could have Warlord, who also has an undodgeable out of neutral. Like,
I was gonna say, you're describing Warlord to me.
Right. I mean, Warlord's he's all right.
Yeah, he's okay.
Yeah, Warlord's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, he has the blue attack and he has the orange attack. Kind of cool.
If you think about it, Jean Hu is kind of like Warlord too, but that's a topic for another day.
Oh, I can't
disagree with you on that point.
They both have blue zone. They're the same character, Kai.
True.
And there's a orange attack too, so you know.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. They both have full blocks.
Yeah, and there's kind of a deflect that's orange too. You know.
Right. I can't tell you how many times I've deflected enemies as Warlord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. So I guess the last thing that we'll talk about, and we can go somewhat in depth with this. I think this is pretty much known by the entire community that her feats are too strong. The tier 1 basically being the power of a tier 4, being problematic to the point where it's already banned in tournaments. Or I don't know, are they trying one tournament with it unbanned and then we're banning it, or has it just been?
No,
It's banned already.
Okay,
yeah.
This is the correct decision in my opinion, because it's like I said, it's basically a tier 4 and a tier 1. Is this a feat that can be usable if the damage numbers are tuned, or is it just on a design like a fundamental design level, it's too strong?
I mean,
I think, personally, I think the damage numbers are fine. The problem with it is the radius of it, as well as the utility it gets from the tier 2 so early on into the game.
I mean, as long as it is affected by like AI goblins, it's never going to be unbanned, right? It makes the mid lane completely unplayable to the point where you have to have the feat, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the feat, the opposing teams can have the feat, and then you're never going to be able to go to the mid lane, right?
Yeah.
So beyond everything else, like that has to be changed. It also makes Breach completely unplayable as well, right? You can't even step in that game mode.
Yeah. It's either that infection or opponents pikemen. I don't know. Don't want to be in either position.
It's great design.
So maybe go ahead.
If there's a way to make the tier 1 not proc on minions, but the tier 4 does, I think I'd be fine with that.
What if we go back to the old ramping up damage and make what's the lowest damage in attack? 9 damage?
3 damage, conk second hit of zone.
Oh Jesus. Okay, then okay, then my idea doesn't work. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I just thought we could make like the minions have like 9 HP or something and start after the infection thing, start the ramping up like it did previously, with like 3 damage and 6 damage or something.
Yeah, but
Would
to be
take
honest,
a while
that
at least to
really shit to play
kill
with.
minions, but I don't know.
Sorry for swearing, but it felt really bad to play with whenever you used Old Infection, since you'd have to be Havoc and intentionally not exit a circle for it to actually do damage.
Yeah, but it's a tier 1. I'm not saying the tier 4 should
wait,
work like that, but the
wait,
tier 1.
my bad. I was, yeah, then as a tier 1, I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, so it not proccing on minions would be an acceptable change. Damage numbers are okay. Maybe reduce the radius.
Yeah. I think
Like I
keeping the
said-
10-meter radius is pretty overkill.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Freeze?
Like I said, I think it's Clutch's idea. Who said just make it like chillins there and just have it as a catalyst for the tier 1 and tier 2.
Right.
Just make it a debuff. I think that's fine then. And I mean, the important part is not killing minions. I think that's.
And I mean, if you also like made it like a more like universal mechanic that's on other characters, then her like tier 2 and 3 could benefit off your teammates a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely Nisha.
I think it'd be interesting just to, I don't know if this is exactly what Clutch was getting to, but what about making it a passive?
Wait, the tier 1?
Yeah.
What's
But
a
no,
passive
meaning
effect?
like it's a passive of the character that every so often applies corruption that just doesn't do damage unless they're around opponents or something like that. Hang on. Thank you for the raid, Daddy Law. I appreciate it. Okay.
I see.
Well, wait. Wow.
I haven't followed either. What's
So-
the passive exactly? The tier 1.
The
you're
passive-
applying-
The tier 1's a passive now?
Right, but it doesn't do as much damage, and the radius isn't there, so you can still use tier 1 or tier 2 and tier 3 instead of having it tied to a feat, having it tied to the character's moveset, like bleed.
I don't know.
We're
I
making
feel
it
like
stronger, aren't we?
like making the tier 1 like then you just have it at the
I
beginning
mean,
of the game.
well, sorry, so did you mean like reduced radius or no
Yeah.
radius? That's
No,
in it
reduced
only-
reduced radius, reduced damage.
If it like only affected the person you corrupted, then I think that'd be fine.
Yeah.
But I think as long if that had a radius and it was tied to moveset, it'd be a bit much.
Yeah,
You do
I
it
don't
off an
know.
RNG, like 20% chance or something, or how do you do it? Like 5th hit?
Maybe like make a move that applies it or something.
Yeah, like bleed, like for
I
example,
do it off of
Oh,
like
okay. Oh,
off
that sense.
impale
Oh,
or something.
Oh, like the impale wall spot applies a
Yeah,
corruption.
or something like
Huh.
that. Yeah.
okay.
I mean, that'd be like easier to like avoid, just like oh, just don't attack, right? You can't get parried.
yeah.
But I don't know.
But that it's something that gets tested. It really doesn't mean that much to talk about it.
Right?
In
Yeah.
my
It's like
opinion,
a
at
testing ground
least.
idea.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of different ways to make this playable, because the identity of the character, which Ubisoft has said multiple times, is a big deal to them, that they don't really want to sacrifice the identity of the character for balance, even though they've kind of switched on that recently by giving Orochi
Right.
unblockable. But I
I think
mean,
they've overplayed that card. The
yeah,
identity thing. Now that Orochi has the unblockable, they can't do that anymore.
Hitokiri's been
They broke that thing.
yeah,
So no,
yeah, it's
not happening
true.
anymore.
But I think adding something passively like that, like a shaman bleed, like how shaman interacts with bleed or something like that, would be an interesting direction for characters, instead of having everything tied necessarily to a feat. Just have something in the kit that will proc it or trigger it or something like that. It sounds more interesting to me to have a reduced power level in like in every way, but still allows the character to still use the corruption and everything like that. Because if you're going to play this character in competitive, I mean, you might run the tier 4, but then other than that, I don't know. You're just not going to feel like you're playing anything all that special, in my opinion.
right. I mean, if personally, I would like feats to be designed more like MOBA abilities. So maybe like tier 1, tier 2 level strength, and you just get them at the beginning of the game, and that way feats can be seen more as part of a character's kit, right? And so you can still have your identity tied around to the feats,
Yeah.
right? Without being like, oh, you have to get them first, or else
Yeah.
they're useless,
I
right?
hate the idea of ultimate abilities, by the way.
Right.
Horrible. I
It would
hate it.
also remove that, like you're not just getting blown up at the end of the game too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in general, I think you can't balance strength with cooldown.
Right.
Like, and it's strong once, okay? It's completely broken once, and yeah.
And I mean, you're only using it
Cooldown
once at the end
doesn't.
of the
Yeah,
game
but I
anyway.
mean, yeah, cooldown doesn't mean anything in that regard.
Yeah. All right. So then we've talked about feats of being too strong. I actually did want to touch on tier 2 and tier 3. I think with tier 1 active, with the heal and damage, what are your guys' opinions on those? Do you heal too much or not enough? Too strong?
You
Too
heal
much
far too
damage?
much. It's an insane amount of heal. Having
It's
50%.
actually the same as Shaman, isn't it? 60%?
Yeah.
Well-
It's 50 or 60, yeah.
Yeah.
That's 60.
Shaman's healing is a flat rate, so it's 4 damage for every hit, and then 20.
Oh,
on
is that it?
Yeah, that's why her
That
lights
explains a
feel
lot
like
then.
they heal so much, because they hit twice for double healing.
Yeah, I've
So
seen.
Shaman's
That changed, I think.
great then.
I thought it was 60 as well.
I mean, unless they
I mean,
changed it
I
at
came
some
to
point.
60.
The last time I checked, it was flat rate healing.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, then.
Yeah, Nutella's in chat saying the tier 2 is 50%, and Shaman is 4 HP per hit.
Wait, was it 50? Not 60? I mean, we tested. I know.
We tested this. I know the answer to
It
this,
was
but
Yeah,
in
no,
your
I thought
video.
the testing was horrible. Like, you need a big number. It's 50. All right, yeah. It was the ballista testing. It was a big pain in the ass.
yeah, I've seen many videos of these of different players testing out the healing and like having a corrupted target, like on Sentinel, for example. If you're running multiple Warmongers, you can have one Warmonger on the ballista shooting another person across the way that has corruption that was not put there by you, and you still will heal off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we tested.
Yeah.
Either way,
And then-
it's still way too high in my opinion.
Yeah. It seems pretty high. Or if you plunge attack somebody who is who has corruption, you basically get your health bar back if they have corruption on them
It's
from another
capped.
Warmonger.
It's capped. You only get, I think, we didn't test that, but it's either the health left or just the full HP is being used as a base for your heal. So you heal at around
Okay.
16.
So it's based on
You-
like the actual health you took away, not like the damage you would have done.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No, you
So
don't
if they
heal
have
the
a
full from a 2000 damage drop attack.
right, so if you
Right.
drop attack somebody, they have 50% HP. You heal up to that 50% of their health bar,
Yeah,
whatever it
that's
is.
what we think
Okay.
it is. Yeah.
Here's a question though: if you like ledge the commander in breach and he's infected, do you then heal to full?
I can test that later. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, because the game's over at that point, right? Then everybody's full health.
I guess. I mean,
Breach
apparently you
tests
get
are important.
if you get the winning hit in League of Legends, apparently you get 50 gold for. Some
It's
reason.
true, you do. 50 gold for the next game that you never see. It's crazy. Yeah. Okay, so tier 2 feat, probably a bit too much for the healing. What about the damage done from the tier 3, the additional damage? Because it does, if you have a corrupted target, the corruption actually does more damage as well. Everything you do does more damage by a certain rate.
What's the
I'm not-
percentage?
30%?
Isn't it
40?
40?
No, 10. The ticks do 13 then, don't they? So 30 damage.
Oh, okay. It's not like slip through. Either way, I think the fact that just alone with corruption, you don't even have to hit them at a 13 damage tick. You're basically already able to out damage Stalwart Banner, which is obnoxiously good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And,
think. Sorry.
If you're running with someone who has like Fear itself or Chilling Stare, you're now able to just completely deny Stalwart Banner because you'll always out damage their own heal.
Yeah.
I think the number's fine though. It's a tier 3 after all. So 30%.
Maybe.
I guess.
Alright, I guess.
I
If it
think
wasn't-
like.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you can go first.
No.
I mean, I think like in a vacuum, like on their own, each feat seems fine, but it's like when like combined, right? Because then you have this really powerful tier 1. The tier 2 makes it even more powerful. The tier 3 makes it more powerful. So then you have this like super feat, like this like tier 8 level feat that you get every 60 seconds, and like that's what really is like what just puts it over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the combination of the feats that make everything, the tier 1 specifically, too strong. And why
Right,
it's
you
so
essentially
good.
take 3 feats to get 1 super feat.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, and it's not like it's difficult to get somebody corrupted. You can guard break for a light attack, or I mean, light attacks are hitting more because everything's read based. You're more likely to hit somebody.
Right.
So it's not like corruption's not being applied. It's not like people aren't going to be stacking on top of each other because you're in a team-based game. You have to be grouped up if you're fighting a team fight in mid, or you're fighting to hold a point or take a point on a side point. So like this is it's conditional, but it's really not that conditional.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like what Freeze said, like the developers balance feat based on their cooldowns, right? So like a Fire Flash, you get it once and it does a ton of damage. But then you have this feat that it makes you do more damage, it makes you heal, it makes them unable to stay near their allies. And then you just get it every 60 seconds. So like there really is like no balance.
Another issue I've noticed is how long it just stays on the blade.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like 20 seconds, right?
20
Yeah.
seconds is
yeah.
so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recall Raw trying to stall Kai's blade once, and he was like, "All right, blade successfully stalled." Then he got hit by it 2 seconds later, and he's like, "Wait, it's not fucking 15 seconds."
Yeah. You basically you have to either be very confident in your ability to read properly or block, or you just have to basically give up. Like if you're in mid, I've done this. I've just rolled away and I've had to concede mid because it's better that the person just take the minions with the corrupted blade and I wait till it's done to re-engage than get hit by it, take a bunch of damage, clear the minions anyway, just faster, and just put myself at a disadvantage.
Right.
Just kill the Warmonger lol.
Yeah,
just,
true.
Just
I
never
just
get
don't-
hit. Like,
Right.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep flipping him as BP.
Yeah, that's like the one way. I think you can actually waste it, right? If you flip it, it
Yeah, it
removes
consumes the
effect.
charge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one way to beat it.
Yeah.
Another inconsistency.
Yeah, I don't think it should consume the charge, but I don't know. It makes sense that it wouldn't do damage.
Feats
But
should apply. You know how
yeah, Shield Basher
Shield
does.
Basher does
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah, it does.
Or like projectile feats do damage. And yeah, inconsistency shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Those feats are in a bit of a weird state. For sure. Okay, was there anything else we wanted to talk about for Warmonger before we moved on to the CCU changes? Do we feel like we've covered everything? We didn't talk about the tier 4 all that much, but
it's another insta kill
It's
tier
good.
4.
yeah,
It's
it's
deceptively large. Like the radius.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
I always think I need to go so close, but actually I just need to be, I don't know.
You just need to be on the same map as them.
Yeah, pretty much. No, but it is really much bigger than you initially think.
Right, because
Yeah.
like the effect compared to the actual radius.
Yeah, it's very hard to see the actual radius of it due to the effect most of the time. Thankfully, I'm the only Nushia player here, so I know what it is by heart.
Nice.
true. I also think it's interesting that the corruptions works off of infection as well.
Yeah, they actually changed infection's description to go along with
Yeah.
it, so
It's
That's in
interesting.
general such a weird thing. They change an existing feat on a not picked character. It's not just low pick rate. She's not picked. And then it turns out it's just to buff the new hero.
Yeah.
It's the one way Nusha gets buffs.
It was really unexpected, and then to such a degree, and now these feats come out, and that's even I don't understand the change at all. Didn't they give us reasons for the Nusha fix? Not fix, but the change initially.
If they did, I forgot.
Yeah,
yeah, me too.
I wasn't sure whether they did it in regards to Warmonger or if they gave us an explanation already why they changed it for Nusha. We didn't like how it was performing. That what it was?
To be fair, it wasn't performing that well, anyways.
It's true. And it was a tier 4, so seeing the buff, I was like, all right. I
Yeah,
think
makes
that's
sense.
good.
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And they're
I
like,
think tier
well, it's
10
tier
now
1
is
now.
good fun. But yeah, then they just threw it on Warmonger tier 1 and like, oh my, oh fuck you.
Yeah. Mid lane is. Yeah, I'm glad that scrims aren't having the tier 1. I don't really play matchmaking. Like I maybe will occasionally play matchmaking if I'm watching Norgaz and I'll join his stack or something. But other than that, I just don't play.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kai and I only play versus AI.
Yeah, I only go against AI these days.
Yeah, because just playing matchmaking is a pain.
So,
Yeah. It's already a pain just without Warmonger's feats being in the mix because matchmaking still not as accurate with how they match you up. But then when I'm going against 4 Warmongers, even 2 or even 1, and because I'll play Berserker sometimes, but I'm the mid laner for our team, so I'm going to be playing Kensei or something, and I'm going to be going against the Warmonger in mid, and I'm going to get hit, and I'm going to take a bunch of damage, and that just doesn't sound fun. And it sounds something like I want to do. I'd rather play scrims.
By the way, have you noticed as well playing Kensei, for example, if you play into a Warmonger, how about your feats? Did you notice you unlock feats so much slower just because you cannot farm?
right.
It's insane. I was like, I don't know, 3/4 of the game, and I had like not even my tier 2, and it's not just once. It's a common occurrence.
Right. Yeah, it's like
so weird.
maybe it was their plan to destroy like the mid lane, right? It's like now no one can play mid.
That's right. I would honestly be just fine with them taking away the prevalence of mid or certain characters in mid and just give body count to everybody. Or like everybody but assassins or something.
They already nerfed body count, so like I don't feel like many characters even need to run it anymore.
I'd agree with that, but that's probably more like for the CCU topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. which we can move on to if you guys are good to go. If you don't want to add anything else. Yeah, I think we fleshed out Warmonger pretty well. The feats are in not a great state for the most part. Competitive viability isn't really there in comparison to other characters because the tier 1 feat is banned. Moveset is what it is. There's some reused animations, but I mean, where we're at with COVID could be part of it. I know Freeze has said maybe that's not the case, but I don't know. I think overall we have a good character. It's just not competitively viable without that tier 1 feat, in my opinion.
Right.
So let's then move on to the core combat update. And without getting into numbers or anything, what has actually changed in For Honor with the core combat update being live?
I mean, going just off of what Q was talking about, like mid lane, right? You pretty much, I like rarely ever see body count used anymore. Even on the Kenseis, they're running the fast recovery or whatever it's called.
Yeah, now
Yeah,
you're
but
say.
Yeah, is that the reason because body count got nerfed, or is the reason because of the insane stamina values?
I think the reason is because body count got nerfed.
Yeah, really? I'd say the other way around. I mean,
I think the main reason most people picked body count was for the self-sustain it gives you in mid, but with only 1 HP per minion and like what 7 per zone, assuming like fainted, like that zone health isn't going to make that much of a difference, especially whenever you can be punished for like 14.
I think it's both. Like fast recovery is good because stamina sucks, but before, like, you'd get your stamina back from killing minions, right? But now you got to kill 25 minions to get 25 health and 25 stamina, right? So you're not getting anything essentially. You're basically out healing minion damage at the most. Well, if you have fast recovery, then you can zone and you wait like half a second, you get your stamina back, right? You can zone again. So I'd say it's probably both. The feat's good because stamina is just
poop.
Makes me sad.
Yeah, and the idea of stamina being changed was actually something that I think all of us were excited about, because one of the big problems with the defensive meta of For Honor was it was perpetuated by the low stamina pool and the high stamina cost of attacks and the stamina drain from bashes, parries, whiffs, etc. But then there's some of that has been fixed. I think stamina pools could probably go up in some characters still, but we have stamina's relatively low for most things. I still think light attacks are too much stamina, cost too much stamina. They're 12 stamina, and some characters are going down to 6, like Shaolin, Warden, because all these guys that have, or these characters that have double lights or something like changes something like that.
Before Nutella points it out.
Not Nobushi. Wow.
Yeah.
Get destroyed, Nobushi players. Wow.
But these light stamina values, I think, were the biggest surprise for me. Like when I heard the changes, I thought, yeah, it's all right. I mean, it's just 12. But then when I actually got to play, I did not expect it to feel this bad. Like I was like, where's my stamina? All of a sudden, I'm out of stamina. What's happening? And then again next round, and then what is that? It's like, it was shocking actually how much I put myself out of stamina at the beginning. I mean, I had always had trouble with that, but now it's, I don't know.
I have less trouble going out of stamina than before, but it's definitely like a very jarring change the first time you see it. Because you're like going out of stamina on punishes that you normally never would have before.
Yeah.
Right. I know, like, sometimes, like, you'd get like, in the old days, you'd get a guard break and you'd be like, oh, heavy will put me out of stamina, so you go for a light punish, right? But now you can't do that.
Now they both put you out of stamina, so...
But then there's, like, some stamina values that, like, I kind of hoped with the whole stamina changes, like, zone stamina would go down, which didn't happen, and so now you have, like, these 12 damage zone attacks that cost half your stamina, which just feels ridiculous.
Like, standardized to 1/4 of your stamina, in my opinion.
I don't know, like...
Or maybe even, like, 1/5.
I might just treat him like a normal attack and just make him, like, I don't know, 12 stamina. But I know one thing I complain about a lot. JJ's heavy attacks take like 30 stamina. You do like 2 heavy chains and you're almost out of stamina.
Yeah.
Some of the values are just unbelievable.
Yeah. Those were somehow unchanged. Yeah.
I've been trying to play Berserker a bunch, and Berserker feels clunky for multiple reasons, but one of those reasons is how low damage his fainted lights are, how high the cost is for his lights. Him still being 12, I feel like these characters that have these double light chains, or like Warden or Shaman or something like that, those going down to 6 makes sense because you're using 2 lights. But I think overall, bringing down the stamina cost to even 10 or 8 would be
6
or 6. I've actually had a couple separate discussions with Zach G about this, and he brings up an interesting point that I don't necessarily agree with, but that I think has some merit. That if stamina cost was lowered for Berserker, for example, down to 6, that it would always be Berserker's turn to attack, because he would just be able to faint heavies and lights and just, keep going and not really have to manage stamina all that well. I don't 100% agree with that, but I can see where that could be a problem.
I don't agree, and I just looking at the math, right? Heavy costs 12 stamina. A feint costs 10, so that's 22 for that heavy feint.
If you think about it, we can just already test this. Just get a JJ teammate with circles and have them with Berserker. Infinite stamina.
But it's not even just like the infinite stamina, it's just like if you lowered lights down to 6, right? All that would make 1 heavy feint to light for Berserker 28 stamina. That's he has 130, maybe 140. So he'd be able to do it 4 times. Without putting himself out of stamina, which at 9 damage is only 36 damage total, and then he's gotta wait, right?
In general, sorry, you want to finish?
No, you can go ahead.
It's the feint cost as well. I don't think that should be 10, to be honest.
Right. I mean, I agree.
Yeah, that's so high.
I think 8 would be fine.
I think we could.
I mean, Spaniard throws the idea around that you get 6 stamina for fainting.
Honestly, that'd be interesting to see too. I'd actually be more okay with that instead of losing stamina.
Yeah, but because you can't consistently feint heavies, because you'd still lose stamina. So you regen a lot, but you're still losing. But I don't know, costing 10 is just so much.
Yeah,
I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say, I think arguing that stamina costs need to be high so that Berserkers doesn't have isn't feeling oppressive in 1v1s. That's I don't think Berserker feels oppressive, but if he did, that's saying an issue with a character is an excuse to make the whole core system worse, right? Because you're hurting everyone else because of one character's design, which I don't think
like Orochi. You just got one character.
Right. Yeah, just all his lights go back to 500 MS. No more unblockable. Hyper armor's back to after 4 hits in the chain.
Chimney Christmas. I think either way, I would like to see stamina pools be increased across the board. I realize we have reduced costs and everything like that, but I think a good additional fix would be just to give everybody more stamina. I don't think that would be that big of a problem, myself personally.
Yeah, shouldn't affect anything else, right? Is that HP pools affect?
It might affect. It might affect Yorm because he's stamina manipulation. But
I'm actually fine with most characters' stamina pools. I just think the standard values should be lowered.
Yorm is bad design in general, in my opinion.
Yeah, you don't want Kai to get started on Yorm.
Oh, I could go on.
I could too. I think Yorm's unhealthy for the game still.
I think everyone can believe that.
Agrees on that.
Yeah, except for the developers, apparently.
I know a particular Jormungandr player who's in the chat who might not think he's unhealthy.
Oh, hey, Norgas.
Hi guys. We're just picking on you. Don't worry. Yeah. So, what I have this thought process that I kind of want your guys' opinion on as well. Is this fix to increase light stamina cost seems to be part of their solution to try and fix light spam, because they're really catering pretty hard to the casual community, because not even in the competitive community, but even in part like a certain skill level in the casual community, light spam really isn't a problem, but this is their attempt to fix it. But then at the same time, it feels like this is a way of stifling offense for not necessarily just Berserker, but just using lights in general. Because they're so quick, they're going to be easier to land. But it seems like they're at odds on a fundamental level. They're making light attacks easier to hit, but they're making them cost a bunch more stamina, so people don't really use them all that much. It feels like they're not quite sure what to do or how exactly to go about fixing light spam.
I think the word fix is just wrong, because that's a huge miscommunication. The amount of comments I get of people, they did not fix light spam. Everyone keeps spamming me. I think the communication of fixing light spam is completely wrong. I don't know. I think they should have never communicated it like that.
I mean,
so
I think they should have like just communicated it as like dealing with it as a player, and instead like give actually good tutorials that help you beat it. But
the way
change those.
I mean, I was talking about this before it started. In every fighting game, and I said it before. For Honor's not a fighting game, but its core game mechanics tend to draw a lot of similarities between fighting games.
Yeah.
In every fighting game, low-level players will complain about spam. It doesn't matter the game; it's inherent with fighting games, and it's just something you have to deal with as a developer, right? You just have to like you say, the good players, the people who care about the game, will choose to improve to the point where they're not getting spammed, and the people who don't, they'll move on, right? And it's just something you have to deal with. The developers of For Honor, they're so intent on catering to everyone that they end up catering to no one, because the whole CCU was so all over the place with who they were focusing. We want faster attacks for comp, but we don't want light spam for casuals. And no one's happy now, right? No one happy with that change.
Sure.
The people that complain about light spam also complain about turtle spam, bash spam.
Yeah.
Turtle spam.
Turtle spam.
You know what I mean? They'll always complain about something.
No, I mean, I've heard it before, turtle spamming.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a futile attempt to cater to them.
I have fought people...
even if you fix light spam in their eyes, they'll find the next thing.
Yeah, there will always be something.
Heavy spam.
Yeah, I have literally fought people in match...
Frame advantage.
Sorry, what?
Okay.
I've literally fought people in matchmaking who have complained that I turtle too much, and then I attack them, and then they say I'm a spammer. Like I attack spam. It's like how can you physically hold these two ideologies in these two positions in your head at the same time? How?
You were doing something wrong, and it's called winning. Stop doing that, Soresu. Come on. Ruining the game.
I don't know. I feel like this is an attempt to balance around the casual community, and it's not going to work. And I've heard so many arguments as to why you should not balance around the competitive community of any game, because the amount of people who play the game at a competitive level are not going to be proportionate to the amount of people who play it on a casual level. They're not going to be the ones necessarily who's spending the money, so they're not going to be catered to. But I just think this is like a terrible, terrible mindset. And if you want your game to survive, you do not need to be balancing around the people who don't know the game on a fundamental level. Competitive players know this game on a fundamental level, arguably better than some of the developers. And those are the people you should be listening to, in my opinion.
Can you even balance on a casual level? Because competitive players, if we say in a good environment, competitive players are generally on the same level of skill, right? So if you balance for them, you're balancing towards everyone in competitive play. But casual players, they're all different levels of skills. So you might balance for one casual player, but for the guy next door, it's completely horrible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this shift in CCU, it's supposed to be more offensive, and everything like that. People are pushing more buttons, more attacks are landing. Is this going to shift play styles from not just from the competitive community? Are some players going to thrive in this kind of setting, or is this something that I feel like everybody is going to be boosted up playstyle wise?
I mean, I think it still feels too early to tell because
Yeah,
when
I agree.
after Berserker got 400 MS lights, it wasn't for months before people
Yeah,
were like
guys,
reacting to his lights. Right.
Yeah.
So I think we still need like time to see who can react, like who can like really react to stuff consistently.
Yeah, or before people like started saying Berserker was like overrated. Like I recall, I think Clutch and Fred Rory saying Berserker was the most overrated character in this entire game.
Right.
ever
But
since its work.
I'm pretty sure that didn't happen till like season 7, I think, because I remember the
Yeah,
original
it
clip of
happened in,
like
season 12. It
that-
was so late. Here, let me
See-
find it. Let me find it.
well, I just know like it was in like season 7, I think, when I saw like Clutch first post his like clip of reacting to Berserker lights.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was at least like 6 months after it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far I've only one comp player who came up to me and said I should check whether these are actually so fast now, the 400 ms lights, because apparently he didn't really have trouble reacting. But yeah,
I'll say this, right? Like I think it's definitely like people still do get hit more, right? And I think that'll always be the case because even if you can react to something, it's when a character has like a ton of options, that's when it's like
I think that's what's more important. Having very tight reactions, but having multiple options you need to deal with.
right
Sadly,
because
there's
like
like not many characters in this game that have enough options for that to matter.
right because it's like if you get hit like if you block a berserker heavy, then you have a light from 3 directions and a potential unblockable, right? Versus if the berserker feints the heavy, you just have lights from 2 directions. So it's a lot easier to deal with a berserker who's fainting versus a berserker who's gotten into his chain if you can react.
Yeah, I think choice reactions matter more in general now than they did pre-CCU, because like pre-CCU, for me at least, stuff like saying bashes where 233 millisecond choice reaction didn't really matter, in my opinion, since you could still pretty easily react to every other individual option most characters had from neutral.
Right.
Now that's a lot harder to do since it's a shorter reaction time, but also the options matter more now due to that.
I'll add too, the thing I've noticed the most that most people seem to be struggling to react to more is feints. But this is just my experience.
Yeah, I
Instagram.
actually agree with that. I can't react to feints at all anymore.
Right.
So I'm purely making reads on heavy parries and getting my ass kicked for it.
Yeah. Which is nice because it means that
Yeah, I'm a fan of it.
yeah, for sure. It's another option. It's another viable option for you to use, which is why I thought for sure that when all of these changes came out, that Berserker was going to be a really, really good character, and why I started just spam playing him again before CCU came out and after CCU came out, and he just doesn't feel great.
Yeah. Then they nerfed light attacks, which were already weak.
Yep.
Dude, I don't know. Maybe you're devoured and you come back for one day and say, "Wow, I can't react. The game shouldn't be like that." And you leave
did
again.
you say that?
Yeah, he came back for like a day. He's like, "Wait a minute, I can't react to feints anymore," and he said it was bad, and then he left.
Damn.
So that's devoured
Okay.
for you.
I mean, then again, devoured is a sped for
Devoured is
yeah.
I haven't
he's
heard from him in so long.
Man. Does anybody know if True Talent has started playing the game again?
he
He
released a
tried.
Bronner video the other day.
Yeah, he actually
Oh,
posted a
what?
Bronner recently.
Yeah.
How,
Called
I
out
haven't
Got a
watched-
Big Axe.
Did he just did he play matchmaking or did he just play viewers again? Because he did, I don't know. He hasn't played
I don't think
matchmaking
either
in
of
so
us
long,
watched it.
ever since the For Glory pings.
I can't imagine True Talent thriving in this game how it is, because he was already having trouble with characters that he thought were too strong with 50-50s. Like there are so
but
many
isn't
more of
he-
them in the game now. Like
He always claimed all mind games here, mind games there.
right,
He has
yeah.
that now. That's exactly what he wanted, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'll-
I don't
I
understand.
don't know.
He's like one of these. Yeah,
Wait,
I'll
no,
say
he's actually been playing matchmaking. What?
he has. Really?
Uploaded, let me see.
Surprising.
1, 2,
That is
3,
surprising.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 For Honor videos in the past week.
Whoa.
Really. There was Binks when you need him.
In the
Yeah.
defense of true talent, back in like season 1, on the subject of Warden's shoulder barge, he said that he would be okay with it if all characters had unreactable mix-ups.
Yeah.
He said he just didn't like that it was only on one character, even though you could deal with it in the past. But his point was, he did say he'd be okay with it if all characters
Yeah,
had
I
similar.
think that's how it should be. All characters should get some form of mix-up, or that's actually unreactable.
Mm-hmm.
I should like the game then.
Mix-up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nutella, for
the
quoting
entire
clip.
the entire clip. It's a great copy pasta, to be
I'm
honest.
sad the clip is gone too.
Wait, it's
deleted
gone?
He
Oh,
deleted
Yeah,
it all.
he did a lot
That's
of them.
terrible.
I'm sure Melty has it somewhere, right?
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Belty.
Okay, so we can kind of talk about what's in the patch notes now. I'll put the command in chat so people can look at it. Oh wait, did I just do this same thing? Oh no, I didn't. Okay. I think the only other we talked about pretty much the core combat update and what that brought. We've talked about Warmonger as well. I think the only thing we haven't discussed, I think we should, are the nerfs / buffs to some of these some of the feats. I guess we can also talk about how Berserker increased chain heavy is 700 MS and how they absolutely destroyed Aramusha for no reason. And Orochi is in such a state. Huh?
Did he feel that bad? I haven't played him yet. It's just I hear so
From
many
what
complaints
I've
about
heard,
him.
it feels terrible.
Yeah. And from what I've played, even though I'm an Armisha player, I only have 10 levels on that poop character. Character feels way worse than before, and I already didn't like the character.
Yeah.
And I know Veebs and Kwai have also been complaining, holy moly, this character feels like trash, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
this-
Cool coach.
and the character is so close to being good too. They just need the old speed values instead of the nerfed heavy speeds.
the strength of the character, right, was a high damage that you could dish out really fast, right? So you see an opponent get hit by a bash, or you see your opponent in recovery, and you deal 40 damage, right? And now you both have lower damage, and the
You're not
attacks are
slower
slow, so
than most
it's
people.
so much harder to hit the recoveries. And I mean, he got nerfed without really compensation, so
Yeah.
With no compensation at all, yeah?
Yeah. It's really unfortunate to see. And Orochi also is now at a point where Bleach Medicine has quit the For Honor video game. He put out a video and everything, like sad lo-fi hip-hop music in the background. Actually a pretty cool Orochi picture that he had as his background, by the way. But yeah, it just
Didn't he
Orochi's
play
bad.
Warlord before the update though?
He did play a lot of Warlord, but he only played it because Orochi was bad. And then when Orochi got worse, he decided to quit the game because he didn't want to keep playing Warlord because, I quote, Orochi is my character or something.
Damn.
It is sad. I mean, I don't want to, like, personally, from the small amount of experience I had trying out Orochi, I don't feel like he's necessarily horrible. Like, he's got a good dodge attack, right? A really good dodge attack. And the unblockable, it does good damage. But there's just no reason to pick Orochi over Berserker, who
Right.
has the exact, like,
Or like any other assassin in the game right now.
just as good as a dodge attack into an unblockable that also has hyper armor, and has more options out of it too. So
And that you can't just back dodge on one timing.
right. Well, that supposedly got fixed, but who knows?
As far as I know, it's fixed. I tested it like 2 days ago, and I couldn't do anything back dodge wise or roll wise.
Oh, that's good. Obviously, it makes him a
Whoa!
little bit better. Freeze is in the light. We can actually see Freeze's face now. It's not.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Sorry for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I live ground floor, so I don't like turning on the lights with the windows, so everyone sees everything.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the stream.
We were talking about Orochi being gutted, Aramusha being gutted. I kind of want to know, especially from a Tiandi player, Kai, what your feelings are on not being able to palm strike after you do the superior block dodge light.
Okay.
Memory.
Okay.
That's my take.
So I'll say this, right? Tiandi, and I know a lot of people disagree with me. I felt like Tiandi was always good. I was pretty vocal about that opinion. And he really only got nerfed with CCU, aside from attacks being able to land easier, right? But the crushing counter, I feel like it was a necessary change because you would do it, and then the opponent takes a 22 damage, and then they take the palm strike for an extra, like if an ally's around,
14.
you get like
Or,
14
yeah.
normally, but then you also get like a 40 damage heavy, so you're like doing 70 damage off one punish, which was pretty ridiculous. So I felt like it was a necessary change, but I also like the idea of like actual combos being in Frana.
Yeah.
But maybe, you know, the issue does end up being like when allies are around, right? Confirms, and that's like one of the biggest issues with keeping high damage heavies. Even if they're behind the chains, if you have confirms with other teammates, right, then you still get all that high damage.
Personally,
Isn't that the only time they really land? These
Uh,
high damage moves, Singanks and confirmed
Yeah,
situations.
when you have when they have other teammates around, and in that situation, it just feels like horrible because you're not really there's not much you can do.
yeah, I think in those situations, teammate attacks should. I'm honestly fine with most damage values where they are now, but stuff like the Shaman Bite, I think those should get damage reduction for their teammates because the damage of it I feel is fine at 40 on its own, but adding on a teammate heavy on it with no damage reduction just makes it feel horrible to play against still, without actually solving any of the issues it had.
I mean, its damage is kind of too high, in my opinion. At 40 plus 20 healing,
I think 35 would be fine.
with the healing, it feels like such a huge health swing. But go on, Soresu.
I was just gonna say I don't play Tiandi. I don't think I even have 2 levels into the character, but I really feel like this was. I'm on the opposite side of Kai. I think this was relatively unnecessary, especially with CCU happening. In order to do this, you were already making somewhat of a read because it's a different deflect timing. It's a little bit harder to hit. And now with attacks being faster and a lot more options being viable, I feel like having something like this to be a really good reward for a good read is a good thing for the game. Like this game should incentivize good reads, and I feel like the guaranteed palm strike after the crushing counter was that reward, and now it's just gone. I really don't. To me, it doesn't make much sense. I didn't really see this landing all that much to begin with. And if the problem is other teammates getting damage off of bashes, that's a lot of stuff to look at.
I'll say this though, when you bring that up, right? You're saying like the issue is like the ally getting damage off the bash. I mean, personally, I want bashes to, instead of feeding like flat revenge, they should add a revenge multiplier. So then you get more revenge depending on the amount of damage you took during the stun of the bash. That way, if you're getting headbutt for 14 damage, you don't get that much revenge. But if you're getting headbutt for 40 damage, then you get a lot more revenge, right? Which I think would be more fair. But when on the subject of it being harder to land, I never felt like it was too difficult. Like, yeah, it's a different timing, and it's definitely something you have to get used to. But like I can say zone attacks, and I can just see them and be like, okay, 360 damage, right? No issue. You can't really do it on things like lights, like a lot of fast attacks and something like a warlord zone, right? If you were on the wrong side, would be really hard. So I'll definitely say like quicker attacks you couldn't get on reaction, and at that point, I did feel like the reward was kind of fitting, but sometimes there's just like nothing, like it just felt like too much damage for something too easy.
Okay.
But if we're on the subject of Tiandi, another thing about the CCU, the change to frame advantage of lights, you have Palm Strike, and because Palm Strike chains into a chained light, which got heavily nerfed, now you have Tiandi with 600 MS Palm Strike, still reactable. It does less damage. It does 10 damage compared to like Headbutt, which does 14. Palm Strike also has pretty poor forward tracking. You can space it out quite easily. and now it also loses frame advantage, right? And so I just compared to Headbutt, which Headbutt goes further, gives frame advantage for lights and heavies, is harder to react to, and does more damage. And it just feels like Palm Strike is like, they really like went hard on this move.
Yeah.
I think it was just collateral. I don't think they planned any of that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
And I think
damage
they did a
because
lot of
they
things with this.
didn't think about what they were doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've pretty much covered everything from the fighters. The stamina changes to Shaman is fine. Shove on or Hyper Armor on Shove for Lawbringer being gone is, I think,
Good riddance.
fine. I'm not really upset about that, to be honest. Moving on to feats. I just want to say I didn't for some reason I didn't initially catch this, that they changed Stun Trap to Storming Trap. It's like they want to move away from the word stun, because we had Stun Tap and now we have Storming Tap. Now we have Storming Trap.
Stuns though.
I don't know. Storming Trap doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe they're trying to keep some kind of consistency. I don't know. But anyway, so Storming Trap is now the tier. It was the tier 1 that Berserker ran, Shaman ran, that did stun. That stun did a little bit of damage, and blinded. But the blind, the stun, and the stamina damage is gone from it now. It's a medium reaction, which I think means that you can ledge somebody with it now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can.
And then
I honestly think Storming Trap is still pretty good, even regardless of those, because having confirmed damage, that confirmed damage is pretty good.
Yeah, it does 20 damage now instead of 15. So I mean this will make it to where, and we've seen this in scrims where traps aren't banned. But I still think the only character who runs these is Shaman. Berserker doesn't run them.
Revenge attacks is way too good to pass up on Berserker, in my opinion.
And Bounty Hunter's good too for tier 1. So I think Juggernaut is better for Warlord than Bear Trap is. And Bear Trap's the same thing. It doesn't stun or blind or cause stamina damage anymore, but everything else remains the same. So
It's still a free ledge, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I agree with freeze, especially on a map like Temple Garden, right? You get free.
You actually have options now, depending on map. Jesus.
Whoa. Well, I mean,
adaptation and the feats. Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, too bad Fire Flask still exists. So it's the only tier 4 you're ever going to pick as a Viking.
Yeah, it's true. Unless you're Zerk, and then you can flex to Fear itself, I guess, if you have a Warlord.
Highlander.
Oh yeah, or Highlander.
And I mean, Highlander also has the one healing feat, which is still really good.
Champion's
Aura, yeah.
That's really nice.
It's good just because of the BM as well. Everyone's intimidated by it.
Storm Ki now, true.
Storm Ki, yeah.
Storm Shout.
Storm Shout. Yeah, Nail Bomb hasn't been touched except for the stamina damage, blinds and stuns. Don't really think you're gonna really see that being played, except like, isn't this what Shinobi takes in tier 4? Is Nail Bomb?
Shinobi and Orochi, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the main use was like the insta kill, right? So
yeah.
Insta kill unseeable T4.
Yep. It's pretty fun. Ki is another one that I was actually okay with them hitting. It no longer stuns or blinds, no longer reduces the stamina regen cooldown. This is usually a feat that was made used to stall. I mean, you can get a little bit of an advantage in a 1v1 with the stun and blind, but
remove the stun on it, but like having the US removed is perfectly fine by me.
Yeah, I agree. It's there to stall, and it feeds a ton of revenge. It still puts your teammates out of stamina, so if you use it poorly, then you're hurting everybody. And it's a minute and a half cooldown now instead of a minute. So.
Right. Oh wait, they increased the cooldown? I didn't even know.
Yeah, they did. Oh. It is a minute and a half now, which I still think it's probably
probably
used. Yeah. And you just can't stall for nearly as long.
I don't
Good to know.
see. I mean, you won't see an Orochi, but if you did, I don't think you'd see Orochis using it anymore.
No, it'd be Bounty Hunter, I'm sure.
I don't know what else Shinobi has for his tier 1s.
Bounty Hunter Stealth.
Okay, then I don't think you'll be seeing a lot of it anymore.
Yeah, you won't see Kiai.
No.
But-
Yeah. I don't know.
Since
Go ahead.
Bounty Hunter is just ridiculously good post CCU. Somehow even better than it was before.
Yeah. You're doing more damage and ostensibly killing people, so you should be getting more, so you're getting health.
And also the fact that you don't need to rotate as often because of the new healing speeds on points being like almost obnoxiously slow. I'm fine with them.
Hamar's favor duration being cut in half. I mean, it's a nerf to Yorm, but it's unfortunate. But the more you nerf this character, the more unplayable he's going to be, and he just needs to be reworked. He just needs to be completely changed.
The thing is, once again the Revenge Shield bug. That's the cause for that nerf. It still caused the Revenge Shield bug. It doesn't matter. They changed it from what? 45 to 40 before. Now they changed the duration. It's not the tier 2 that's the problem. It's the bug. They need to fix the bug before they actually change any of the feats that cause it.
Same problem with like every bug in the game. Like with the character slot bug, for example, that's been found like what 4 times. They only ever fix the method to get to it, never what actually causes the issue, which is for some reason something that goes on in every other part of the game as well.
I mean, personally, I hate Yorm, so sorry, Yorm players. I'm in favor of nerfs to that character forever. But
That's how I feel about it.
I think yeah, it's definitely like it's still strong because with the Revenge Shield bug, as Freeze said, you're getting like 100 health shield. But the nerf to the tier 1, which is what it's like 4 health healing now or something. I thought that was really nice because
I think that's perfectly fine, honestly.
All the healing feats, I think, they kind of got the right number.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Did
they
well
actually
there.
did something.
Yeah. Huge.
Now Shaman heals 8 health, so she heals like you get hit by 1 light from Shaman, you heal. She heals like the damage of a light too, or like the bite. She gets like a light parry. She heals 20 health. So if you attack her with 2 lights, she like heals that and gets 40 damage.
Yeah, see, I'm pretty fine with most of the healing values now.
Yeah. Heal on block went down to 4. Second wind heals 30 from 50. The Jotun Salve heals 4 damage or 4 from 10. Yeah, I think all of these are fine. Stalwart Banner went down as well. Invigorate went down. Healing Word went
Protected
down.
Revive being nerfed. That was interesting. I don't.
Yeah, I don't understand.
That feat, anyways.
No. Yeah,
nice matchmaking people ran it.
You can't even resin minions anymore.
Yeah, there's literally 0 reason to run it.
Yeah,
I think it was
what 10 seconds now for the duration.
15.
What
the shield?
Yeah, the shield.
Yeah, it's 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
For Protected Revive, I think it's a fun interaction when you watch scrims, and like every couple of weeks, someone pulled it out because of Lawbringer. And I'm gonna run that now.
Yeah.
And then within a week, you see, no, it doesn't work. And then 4 weeks later, the next guy does it. It's like, no, I'm gonna run that now, and it never worked out.
No,
that feat was, I don't know, it's up and down. But at the end, everyone agreed, no, it's not that good in 9
Well, Pugno is just better for clearing.
It's like it's good when you can use it, right? It's a really nice effect when you pull it off, but it's so situational.
Yeah,
because you're not getting that many revives in a game.
Yeah,
right? Especially like in the second half when you're using, right, when you have your tier 3. So a lot of the times it's just like it feels kind of like a waste of a feat slot if you don't end up getting that revive.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think the only healing feat that still feels like really strong Shaolin's, but that's
Yeah, and Big
probably
Rate is
because
still
it
insane.
cleanses,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you still get what, like 8 health per attack, and you cleanse all bleed within the entire radius, which is pretty insane.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'm glad Shaolin is like becoming more picked now, though. Like for
Yeah.
CCU, because the last time anyone actually saw that character was season 8 whenever he came out. So
Yeah, I'm sure Mac is very happy about the buffs. Be able to play him more. Sinister Shield was actually something I was kind of pleasantly surprised to see get some changes, because I think in my opinion Sinister Shield is like the best tier 1 of the game, or at least one of the best tier 1s in the game.
Yeah.
It was so good, so good. Hated
So,
that feat.
I think it's still fine, but
It's
less
it's
powerful.
40 HP now.
It's
Shield
30
is
HP for 26 health, 25 health.
Yep.
Wait,
I think
30 shield.
I think a lot of the strength of BP's feats, a lot of it comes from how fast they activate. If you look at his tier 1, tier 3, tier 4, they're all like instant. Like BP like uses the feat. I've seen BPs use their tier 4s in the middle of getting hit by a light chain. It activates.
yeah, I remember that clip.
Yeah.
And then the tier 3, you're like, you can't really counterplay, because even if you're like constantly attacking BP while you're in revenge, they can still get it off. It just activates so fast.
Yeah, it does.
It's a 300 millisecond activation last I checked, so
Yeah. It's
where is it?
Yeah.
There it is. I'll just post it in Soresu's chat so people know what Kai's talking about. It's just dumb.
Yeah. Were there any of these feats that you guys felt like shouldn't have been hit?
Well,
I mean, Protected Revive, obviously.
Protective Revive, Spirit Shroud.
Oh yeah, right. The Itakiri one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you have a list of all the feat
I
changes?
mean, Tough as Nails. As well.
Yeah, I think I posted the patch notes in chat, but I'll just do it again.
Tough as Nails. What is Tough as Nails down to now? 10%.
10%.
Yeah,
This feat has been hit like twice.
It's a tier 3 that's weaker than Bulk.
Right.
More than a tier 2. Like I honestly think that will get like less overall effective HP than what's it called? Thick Skin or Flesh Wound now, doesn't it? Or
I mean, it still has the activation requirement.
I think it
But
depends.
no, it's weaker than a perk. That's the thing. And they always said, perks are going to be weaker tier 1. And now that's
like 40 feet weaker than most heavy perks. So
yeah.
I agree. Right, that feat probably didn't need to be nerfed. It was what, 15% before.
Yeah.
And that was probably that was fine. I think you didn't see that many people running it anyway.
No. After the nerf down to 15%, people just stopped running it. I mean, I think who was the only person that actually before that nerf really did run it? Maybe Warlord, or was it always Fury?
you normally probably run Fury just for
Fury, except when Punch Through was.
Oh yeah, Punch Through. Yeah.
And you could do the
outclassed, so
the raid boss HP bug where it looked like you had 300 HP.
Yeah, I know.
Intimidation and matchmaking.
Honestly,
well, that kind of thing.
I mean, until it became clear that it was a bug, you did see like everyone run that. People were like, "Oh, you have like 200 health." You don't.
Yeah. I what it feels like to me is the reason that they nerfed all of these different feats that either have to do with defense or healing is just so people die more. So the game feels more offensive, which the game kind of does feel offensive, but we talked about it different ways how it's still not really accomplishing that goal. To me, this is just an illusionary fix and a way to make people feel like they're being more offensive and people are dying more, but
I mean, personally, I pressed a lot of buttons before. I'm still pressing the same amount now, so
pretty much the game. Like I feel like against like reaction people, like I'm definitely landing more attacks, but in general, it feels kind of similar to me.
Yeah, same.
I think parries feel a lot more, or light parries especially feel so much more punishing because of how much lower like light damage is, but light parries are still 32 is still relatively the same as what it was, but now the difference between damage taken versus damage dealt is kind of insane.
Yeah.
But then heavy parries are like nothing, right? You get like 10 damage from your heavy parry, unless you're Warmonger.
Yeah. Or Warmonger.
True.
Personally, I think the fix to that wouldn't be like nerfing neutral heavy damage, anything like that, but instead just making it where parry counters and parries in general only confirm a light, and like lowering parry counter damage across the board.
Ooh, that reminds me. On the subject of parry counters, why do they all deal 60 stamina damage now? You get like choked by JJ and you take 50 damage. I don't know.
Because you don't deserve stamina after being parried by someone who has a slightly better moveset than you.
All I know, Warlord GBs you, throws you into wall. That's 60 stamina damage. Then crashing charge is guaranteed off that wall spot for another 60 stamina damage.
Yeah. You're just getting outplayed, Kai. I don't know what else to tell you.
Position better.
True.
Yeah.
Position better in the ranked sanctuary.
Yeah.
Tiny little box.
Great map, by the way.
Indeed.
Incredible map. One thing I did want to touch on that I feel like that we hadn't, but I feel like this character, I don't know if the character's being slept on. I'm seeing a lot of people play him, but Simba. I'm seeing a lot of people play Simba. That's for those who don't know, that's Jean-Hu.
God, I love Simba now.
So
Holy
like Simba, I can't deal with Simba. Like I'm literally fighting Scorebrand in scrims, and Scorebrand's literally just dodge attacking me, and I cannot guess right to save my life. It is so fast. I can't react, and you're not supposed to. But I can't deal with the character. I can't.
Do you want a tip?
Yeah, I'll take a tip.
Okay, so first tip for fighting Jean-Hu. First of all, walk backwards, right? And the thing about Jean-Hu, you have to keep in mind you have more defensive options than just blocking in either direction. If you walk back and back dodge, and keep in mind to guard on the side of the undodgeable, you can avoid both sides, and if they just dodge into GB, the GB will whiff, but only if you back walk, right? Not to mention the frame advantage too on their dodge attacks is horrible. It's like minus 400 on hit, right? So if they hit you with a dodge attack, unless they go into a chained light finisher, you can generally interrupt their next attack.
Or chain zone, yeah.
Yeah, you just got to keep in mind you have more defensive options than it seems at first.
Yeah.
Good old Eski.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the character. It doesn't feel oppressive when you utilize all those defensive options, right? I feel like I have a lot more fun like choosing which defensive options and which options the Jean-Hu goes for.
Yeah. I think Jean-Hu is arguably like one of the most fun characters to fight in the game now.
I agree. I love
On top of the feat interactions with Keelan are like actually genuinely fun to play with, even though they're unintended, of being like able to deflect it as a teammate or as an enemy, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've just seen the character quite a bit in scrims from multiple people, and I think I don't know. I think the character is pretty good at the moment. I don't know how competitively viable, but good.
I think they're pretty good. Their Ubi still do
Car
good.
is like 8 years, so I think Car's like 8 year. So
yeah. Have there been any picks that you guys have scouted out that you think are better than people are assuming? Raider?
Yeah, having a backlight actually be pretty nuts now is pretty good. I like having the character you can't really punish that well without a bash. I don't actually, but
we're talking about Raider?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Nui's been playing Raider a lot.
Yeah.
And he says, I wouldn't be able to find it, but he says he really feels like the character is definitely underrated. And I'd probably agree, because, I mean, as Yoseii said, if you don't have a bash...
good, but the character is definitely underrated in my opinion.
Right. If you don't have a bash and there's a Raider like doing backlights into heavies, like these are these huge swings, you can't really get close to them or else you're just going to get smacked, right?
Yeah.
And so the character doesn't do a lot, like doesn't have a lot of like offensive pressure. They can't kind of go up to you because what are they going to do? 18 damage or something. But they're really good at like making you not want to get close. And I guess in that regard, you can maybe I don't know, defend your teammates a bit better.
Yeah. On top
What
of
about?
like Raider
ahead.
already have good feats too. Like
Yeah.
nothing really changed in that regard. The character feels like he only got buffed from CCO.
Bear trapped. Yeah, Raiders got good beats.
Viking kids.
Yeah.
True.
What
Rip
about you,
Sam.
Freeze?
I don't know. The only one that really stood out was, I guess, Goki. Shugo,
Yeah.
really strong now.
That was going to be my pick. Shigoki is a menace to me right now.
Yeah.
I
I don't know. When we played in early access, it was like the first time I'm gonna try Shugo, and Rawit was the Shugo in the other team, and I think I went like 1-7 and he went 15-0 or some shit. All right, I guess I can't play him, but yeah, I saw what it means.
If you fight against Rohit Shigoki, roll away from him. It tilts him so much.
Yeah, that's the way you actually win against any player in this game. Once you know what tilts them, you just get in their head, and now you're the best player in the game.
Yep.
No, I've been personally playing JJ, but JJ was like never considered bad. Feels very comparable to Zanhu. I like him a bit better because JJ has the hyper armor as heavies, which fun to trade with. But JJ is still quite good.
Hyper armor got a more lenient hyper armor for trading, like JJ does, I should say. Since like fucking Yorm or Kiri now can't trade like for shit at all.
Dude,
Yeah.
Kiri's not allowed to be good.
Yeah,
I think
poor
Kiri's
Kiri.
underrated right now, but Kara isn't that good either.
I don't know. I feel like there's better characters. Like, why
Yeah,
have
of course
Kiri when you
there
can have Centurial?
True.
Yeah. Centurial is another character that kind of got. I don't think people are necessarily sleeping on him, but he got quite a bit better, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, but who wants to play Centurial?
I mean, some people like the character.
I don't know. Character's pretty good. Pretty fun to play. You kind of punch people.
It's
It's
absurd
hard
damage.
having unlocked him.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, 40 damage unblockable. I'm glad that's gone now, but
Yeah.
why? Why was that?
Because it was a charge heavy. It was a charge heavy and chain tie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, my bad. I thought they were lowering damage, not buffing it by 33%.
Only for chain heavies. This is why Warden has like a 44 damage unblockable or something. Something absurd.
Yeah.
That's gone now too, thankfully.
Is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
Is it?
38 now? Or something?
37 now.
Okay, that's
37.
fine.
Now you only take like a third of your health.
Yeah.
Hey, better a third than like
More than a third?
more than a third, but not less than a fourth.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that pretty much no attack should be over 35 damage. I think you could do exceptions like Yorm Hammer Slam or Bite or something like that. Because it can take a bit more setup, but what?
And like, those exceptions should get damage reduction for teammates then. If
I
they're
feel
going
like
to be that much damage, yeah.
I feel like Bite and Yorm, like those should be like the 35, like Raider Zone 2, like those should be like the max damage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. And that would just make the game more competitive or more offensive as well. Like you just reduce damage numbers, even in chain.
Right.
I don't know.
I think most of the damage numbers are fine are where they are at now, but I think they should be capped at like 35.
Yeah.
I kind of like.
How to find them?
I think parries and GBs, like GBs do 29 damage still.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
32 damage light parries. I would prefer like, I don't know, 25 damage light parries, right? Especially if we're having 9 damage lights.
Yeah. 9 damage lights.
I
I
don't
think
understand the
is
premise. Why do heavies have to do like 2.5 times that of a light? Isn't it fine if it does like 1.8 times of a light?
Right. I mean, you're
It's
still
still
getting.
heavy, of course. Yeah, it's slower. It does more damage, yeah, but does it have to be by so much more?
Yeah. You're still getting more damage, right? So it still
Yeah.
feels more rewarding.
Yeah, I don't know. They're holding on to that. I think too much.
I guess like big damage feels very satisfying to hit. So
Yeah, I agree with that.
like
I feel like, I'll let you continue, Kai.
oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, for like a strictly game design standpoint, you always want, as a developer, you want those parts of the game that feel satisfying to the player, because people love those. And landing a JJ UB at 35 damage, that feels wonderful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you think about the people getting hit by it, it's like, oh, I got parried. My 9 damage attack got parried, and now I'm taking a fourth of my health. Like, feels awful, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you gotta
Yeah, but can't you trick people with sound?
that's true.
Weight of the animation kind of
yeah,
stuff.
that's honestly why I have such a big problem playing Raider, since character just doesn't look like they hit hard, to me at least. So
Yeah.
it's not as satisfying, even though they have 44 damage zone attack.
I mean, you're definitely right, Freeze, but I guess that's up to their their sound department to.
Yeah,
Yeah, not just that. I mean, it's up to the player if the
Yeah.
player allows themselves to get tricked by that. But yeah, I get the idea. No, I agree with that.
Add more blood splatters. You hit someone with a heavy, their body like collapses in on itself,
yeah.
but they only take 12 damage.
Yeah. Yeah. The damage definitely matches the visuals in that.
Yeah.
So the last thing I wanted to talk about with CCU was just what the biggest changes between CCU and the testing grounds were, because what I hear from the majority of people who have a problem with where CC or what was implemented in the CCU is that everything from testing grounds, the second week of testing grounds, seemed to be what the CCU should have been. I wanted to get your guys' opinion on if that was something that you guys agree with, and what are the biggest changes between testing grounds week 2 and what we have now.
I'll go first since I have the shortest one. I did not play testing grounds, so I have no comment.
Nice.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think it just felt they were so on the right track. They were on the right track with testing grounds. Even the changes from week 1 to week 2 was like, yeah, they understand what we want. And then within these 6 months, I don't know who talked to them, what kind of feedback they got, wherever from. They took a couple of detours, and then what we got was, this half-baked, not really an improved testing grounds version, but something completely different. I don't think anyone can really explain it. I mean, they tried explaining it by, we needed to do the light spam fixes and all. And I think they just went completely overboard with that premise, like of having to fix light spam. That's what kind of ruined so many things.
Right. I agree with Freeze. It felt like it changed from like the update was like, oh, improving offense in second week, and it felt so much like that. And then now it feels like a change from improving offense to nerfing light attacks, which aren't light attacks supposed to be part of the core offense that all characters have?
Yeah.
So it felt more like they went from improving offense to, well, now we're nerfing offense because apparently it was too strong before or something.
Yeah, it feels like it's kind of like a compensation thing. They're making attacks more likely to hit because everything's sped up, and feints are going to be more believable and everything like that. But in compensation, we're going to make light attacks cost more stamina and actually do less damage.
Don't they actually have one of their blog posts showed the rate of attacks landing for the testing grounds week 2?
I think so. They referenced it on
I think it's in the blog post about the core combat the actual update, not about the testing grounds. And they said like characters like here's like how many like light attacks and heavy attacks were landing in like post in the testing grounds. But I do remember them talking about it. But I mean, yeah, like they're trying to compensate. They're like, we're improving offense, and to compensate that, we have to also make it worse. But if the point is to improve offense, why worry about nerfing offense?
Yeah. No, I agree. It seems like they're, like I said earlier, I said this already, but it seems like they're what they're trying to do is at odds with each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's unavoidable now that indicators are shorter, attacks are faster. It's unavoidable for people to just mash buttons at the beginning. That's just a progression from how people learn. They see, oh, this works now, so I'll continue doing this.
Right.
And it takes a while for people to adapt. And I think the devs are scared of that adaptation period, that might take too long for some people. And that's why they try to give this additional help all the time. But I don't know why they're scared of that.
I think it's a waste of effort. If people die to, if people were gonna die before, they'll still die now. I don't think you can do anything to change that aside from setting damage to literally 0. That's like the only way you're gonna stop it. But it's
Make it a timer base, and whoever applies more hits done in 60 seconds wins the fight. Easy.
just change the game to Mario Kart. We can race
Yeah.
instead. No one has to die.
Right.
Until they get a red shelled. Let alone blue shelled, dear God.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been in first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just win.
Don't win. Yeah. Hello. Everything is solved by not winning. Yeah, the CCU I think brought a decent amount of good changes, but I think overall, I really hate to say this, but I really feel like the game is not in as good of a state as it could be in, and it doesn't feel that much different from what we came from.
Yeah,
I can't say that it's strictly worse, because obviously it is better, but overall it doesn't feel much better to play in for me.
Never say it's strictly worse, but they just didn't do enough with it. It feels like half-boiled.
I agree. It feels better, but it's like as everyone said, like compared to Testing Ground Week 2, it's worse than that, but it's better than what we used to have.
Yeah, I think that's where most of the disappointment stems from, just because we knew what could have been.
Right.
We had something better and expected
Maybe
even
that's
more
why I'm not
improvements.
as disappointed with it, since I didn't actually even end up playing it.
It's like Thanos said, like we can't be happy because we know what it could have been.
All right, Kai.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how to follow up that quote, to be honest.
Sorry.
So, did you guys have anything else that you wanted to talk about for CCU before just jumping into the last topic?
Mm-mm.
I'm good.
Okay, so the last topic I wanted to talk about, we have kind of sprinkled in here and there how the meta has shifted, like in terms of like the character picks and everything like that. And when I talk about meta, I'm not going to be referencing matchmaking. I'm going to be talking specifically about tournaments, scrims, and everything like that. In terms of team compositions in scrims that haven't necessarily been just, like MM plus, I guess I would say. You're playing with people who know how to play the game. It's single pick, so you don't have Warmonger shenanigans. But for scrims that have been taken relatively seriously, or you've seen team scrims, you've seen a pretty diverse amount of compositions. And I think that's just part of the exploratory period. But do you guys think we're actually going to see the team compositions normalize out to being a set for characters like we pretty much saw in pre-CCU?
I definitely don't think so myself. I think there's enough good characters in the game now for there to be multiple different types of team comps that even allow comfort picks in them, which I think is pretty good. I'm a fan of it.
Personally, I think it's kind of like a 50-50. I still think you'll have like those like staple picks, like if you want a ganker, you got Shaman or Sen. I think Shaman's pretty much mandatory. She's still
I
good.
agree with that.
I feel like Scent, like if you want like a second ganker, and because you already have Shaman, you're pretty much gonna pick Centurion at that point. But I think for those last two picks, right, then that's where I think you'll find the most diversity. I don't think you'll have like this small pool of like, oh, do we have Warmonger or Kensei? I think you'll be like, oh, you could have JJ, you could have Zanhu, you could still have Kensei, you could have
even possibly like Highlander now as well.
Have Warlord, BP, Highlander, as Yoseii said. I think there's so many more choices for those last two picks, but then you still have that issue with like those like top tier characters being mandatory. That's my opinion.
Freeze, I know you don't necessarily participate in tournaments or anything, but do you have, from watching tournaments in the past and knowing how the state of characters now, do you see a diverse amount of competitively viable picks as well?
I don't know. I'm just happy what I just heard. All the heroes, I think, are going to be viable now. I'm looking forward to like seeing different team compositions, because so far, like one character being different here, one being different there, or depending on Barrow is playing. Okay, I can expect a Zerker sometimes. But other than that, it's identical team comps a lot. But if that changes now, I mean it's a good thing. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to give them credit for that. A lot of more heroes are viable. Whether that's a thing because the meta hasn't been completely explored so far, or if it's actually more viability for heroes. Yeah.
Right. It would be a shame if like in 2 months and we just had like here's the 4 mandatory picks.
Yeah.
I mean, the meta gets figured out eventually, isn't it?
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a power pick or something too.
Yeah, shaman.
Right. I mean,
I think right, and going on what you said,
I hate shaman.
I think it's more less that there's like these like there's still like your top powerful characters, but like the less viable characters aren't like a waste
They're
of a slot.
Yeah,
They can do their job.
Yeah, they're not as how do I put it? It's not like they do what they do badly anymore. Like they're all around an actual playable strength.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What I'm interested to see is if we do have all these different competitively viable compositions, if we're going to see counter picks. Like if we know this team likes to play this composition, like we can play characters that exploit the weaknesses of those characters that the enemy team plays. On top of that, these characters are also viable enough to be picked in general, because before I didn't really feel like there was much counter picking. And this might not necessarily be a thing in For Honor, which you guys, if you want to comment on that, you can. I could be completely wrong, but I think with the availability of more competitively viable picks, you could have people playing different characters to counter other players on the enemy team, because there's more viable people to play.
Right. Maybe you say like the enemy team, like they like running both Zanhu and JJ, so they have lots of like AOE unblockables. So maybe you say, let's make sure we have a Black Prior, so we can flip those.
Yeah, or like just Janhu and Shaman as well, since you're going to be constantly under damage over time. Even TNT tier 2 would be actually worth running a lot of the time against that.
Oh right, sacrifice.
Yeah, since you can give counter Fire Flask damage over time, Scorching Deluge, Keelan Ruse, Shaman gank.
I don't know if we mentioned this, but I feel like I should just mention it right now. Fire Flask, I'm pretty sure it's limited to 1 per team.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It is.
But no other tier 4s, just Fire Flask.
I believe so.
Just Fire Flask. Okay.
Yeah, because I think Friendship Banner. We used to be with Friendship Banner too, I think, but it's. I don't think it's that anymore. It's not as strong. Like I'm pretty sure Kensei runs Whoosh Whoosh now.
Yeah.
So. Whoosh Whoosh is the unblockable feat. I realize not everybody might know what that means. It's the unblockable feat.
Yeah, get the Whoosh Whoosh clip so everyone knows.
Yep. Yeah. I'm glad somebody did the ping. But yeah, that's something that's interesting to me. Like, I don't want this game to feel like a MOBA, but I want it to feel like there's a lot of different characters that you can maybe counterpick certain players, or you can counterpick certain characters. I also like the idea of one of the tournaments that are coming up actually has a ban system in place.
Really?
Yeah,
Weeaboos.
It's Weeaboos. I think it's not. I think it's next weekend, isn't it? Next Sunday.
I think that we're talking 28th. Either way.
Yeah, I think Alex is on the 30th and Weeaboos is on the 23rd. Yeah, but the basically it's just going to be one team gets gets one character ban, but they do certain picks first. I don't remember the flowchart.
It's basically League of Legends order.
Kind of, yeah.
Banning, then picking, then other team picks too, I think, and
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's inspired by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of tournaments then, because there's going to be one on the 29th as well.
Yeah, I think there are quite a bit, I think, for EU and NA separating them. I'm interested to see if this draft thing catches up, because I don't necessarily trust the most random For Honor players to communicate that much in a tournament. Like people still struggle to check in for tournaments on Battlefy. Like I'm literally holding up tournaments that I'm casting for SCG because somebody like Barrack hasn't checked in, or his team hasn't checked in, or he's off going and playing poker or something. Like how can these competitive players who've been doing this forever can't work Battlefy properly? But we're gonna expect these guys to communicate. Like
the random players that fuck it up. Since I feel bad for Weeb's going to have to deal with the random players trying to actually figure out the pick and ban order.
Yeah, if it can,
Maybe that's what Endervax actually came to join the chat for.
Maybe
he might be a co-tournament organizer with Weeb's. So.
I'll say this: there was a time in the past where we did do character bans. It wasn't like this draft. It was mostly just each team bans one character.
Yeah.
And the reason that stopped for the most part, there's multiple reasons, but the biggest one was that especially in EU, I'm not trying to call anyone out, but it may have been Russian teams. There was such issues with like communications that like teams weren't even banning. They were like, why aren't we playing? And people were like, you have to ban a character, right? So it wasn't that like the communicating, especially with people who struggle to speak English, that can end up being like a huge issue. It's the same reason why like the map ban system was removed as well, and now there's just a certain order because teams just
it brought more trouble than it needed to.
There needs to be a polyglot on every single team.
See, I guess like the thing is like in like those games like Rainbow Six Siege, like League of Legends, it's like that's built into the actual like mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
Right. Where in For Honor you have to do it like in like Discord, which is the struggle.
Or Battlefy or something. Yeah.
It's so sad that it has to be a struggle. It's not complicated. It's
really not complicated.
I don't know. It's like even asking for that feature in game would be.
Oh.
What? Can you really not work that out in a chat? You need 12 or something. It's like, I don't know. I mean, even if you just only speak like a bare amount of English, even then they can work it out. I understand it's a little bit of a hassle, but yeah, it's
sad.
I don't understand it. I don't.
But, I mean, people still don't even read the rules. They try to play on like Forge. It's just like that's not a map.
This is my concern. Randoms are going to make this a lot more complicated. And I want something like this to catch on because I think it would be interesting, especially now that I think the game can handle it, because there are enough viable picks to where banning a character on each side can still render good team compositions, a good match, good characters. I'm just concerned.
Fan of with it is the fact that like people who like one-trick characters, you'll get to see how they actually perform on other characters that aren't, who they specialize in.
So basically what you're saying is that we should always ban Berserker against Baraka's team.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, sure.
If you ban Nisha against my team, I will destroy you. Joke's on you, I don't have one.
It'll be interesting to see the target bans I like against Otto, for example, because he is a well-known shaman player, and Shigs too. Both of these guys are known to be like the best shamans in the game, and that's usually all you see them play. I mean, you see them play different characters in scrims, but I don't know if I've seen Otto or Shigs in a serious game play anybody else besides shaman. So I think, well, right, yeah, exactly. But in terms of them getting banned out, I think it'd be interesting to see these guys on other characters, because I'm sure if
you ban out these two people or just the character, having said that shaman is the broken one. I mean, you'd ban shaman anyways.
I mean, let's be honest. Do we actually think Shigs is going to like be available for a tournament?
True.
Yeah, the Shigs window is infamous. But the last time there was a Shigs window was like 2 days ago, right? And that was like the first one in 5 months.
He like wakes up at like midnight, like NA time.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, let's game. It's like, dude, the tournament was like 12 hours ago. What are you doing?
Yeah. A lot of pings for Fall Guys. Anybody want to play Fall Guys? A lot of pings.
God, I love Shigs.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it'll bring an interesting dynamic because with these one tricks, I know Otto can play different characters, but he just has almost always played
They
Shaman.
can play different characters.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how they perform on them and like comparison to who they mainly play.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think it'll be interesting if it works out.
Yeah, if it works out, it'll probably be like way more interesting to watch as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we don't have that many characters, don't you think after a while it's like, oh, I want to see a Shaman game again as a viewer?
That's true.
It's because that one character is always going to be banned.
Well, but I think with
something, but won't it get stale because you get like weaker heroes all the time?
I think
you could see like I don't know, is it the big moments? I don't know.
I think it's a good point, but I mean that's like, I guess the benefit is it's because it's something like done by the community. If it doesn't work out, we can just say, oh, let's not do this, right?
Well, I also think go ahead, you can finish, sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna like finish up by saying, right, if it was like something in game, right, like an in-game change, then that's something you just have to deal with. But like this, it's like we can test it out, and if it doesn't work, we can just say, oh, well, let's not do it anymore. But it is a good point.
I think that isn't a factor though, because if I remember correctly, you can't, like when you play multiple maps, you can't ban the same hero or the same character twice. So if you ban Shaman Berserker in game 1, you go to game 2, you can't ban Shaman or Berserker.
Yeah,
so
I didn't even know that.
If I remember correctly, I'd have to go back and read what Weeaboo posted, but I think that's the case. Because I agree, if every game is like, I'm gonna ban Shaman and whoever the other S tier person is, then yeah, it's definitely going to be stale. But I think that there's allowances for that in the rule set.
Yeah, I think that'd actually make it like very interesting to watch, since there would be a different comp literally every single game.
Yeah.
And I think having more comps to play with actually would make everyone better as a player as well.
Right, yeah, because it forces you to play together as a team with different characters, maybe even people playing different roles depending on what's banned. Like if Kensei is banned and that's the only mid character the mid laner of that team knows, then they either have to learn a different character or they have to switch around roles and who does what.
Yeah, I think it'd honestly be interesting to see, since I think it would be like artificial, but I think it would be a way of like raising the skill cap in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be good with multiple characters
by now. Yeah. With like clutch basically being the skill cap.
Yeah. Yeah, forcing people to play multiple heroes on a competitive level just makes them better, and it forces them to put in more time. Which is, I mean, from a business perspective for Honor, that's good for them because it's more hours played by more people. But yeah, it forces you to be better. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, agree.
I agree with your agreement.
The last topic I was going to talk about was meta. We kind of already touched pretty much everything. The main question I had was there going to be more flexibility? But we talked about this. There's multiple compositions that are possible because there are multiple characters that are competitively viable to pick, at least as of now. The meta hasn't been fully explored, but I think even when it is fully explored, I still think you'll be able to have a couple picks that you can weave in, and especially if this draft format takes off with the different tournaments, you're going to have to be able to play multiple characters, which is going to keep everything fresh. So I think a good thing from CCU is that it should be bringing a bit of a fresh feeling in terms of compositions for competitive. You shouldn't be seeing the same basic compositions do well. You see a bunch of compositions in tournaments from lower level or lower experienced teams that are playing off picks. But I think now you're going to see more experienced teams play different characters. There's going to be a bit more flexibility. There's going to be some counter picking involved. And I think in terms of the meta for competitive, I think CCU did something good for that.
Yeah, it's you definitely see a lot more chars on the battlefield.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's all right.
It's just okay. So that was everything that I wanted to talk about. Was there anything that you guys wanted to touch on more, or that you wanted to address that hasn't been addressed?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't have anything either.
Kai,
Kai,
are
are
you
you there?
Are you?
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I was reading something. No, I mean, it's for honor. At the end of the day, it's an Ubisoft game.
Yeah,
So-
not much to talk about with those.
True, it is.
Like, what can you do?
Yeah, I don't know.
4 years.
Yeah.
4
Is-
years, and Nibushi's coat still clips through her body.
Don't get Nutella started. He was spamming the chat. Nobushi in fashion.
Yeah.
That
Smile.
conquered flail bug still exists.
Still exists.
Space Mace is nuts. It should honestly be banned from tournaments.
Seen it.
I hate Space Mace.
Seen it do a lot of work. I don't know. Especially in 2v2 tournaments. That's also something that, a little off topic, but that I'm interested in seeing is how TV2s change, if they will change at all. That would be interesting for me.
Out twos is my take.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't like twos, I think partially because of the state the game was in and how you were forced to play. I'm curious if that's going to be any different now.
I think that's the most
depth to them myself, so I don't think they're going to be played at all more.
I don't think the meta changed much for twos. I think it's still
Kensei Warlord.
maybe not Walnut, but yeah, I mean Kensei probably
Shot
still.
2 is probably going to be up there more now too.
I think.
But like
I mean,
at the end of the day, it's still twos. So
like the characters are still strong, but like at the same time, like the really big moves for those two characters, Kensei and Warlord, but mostly Warlord, they got nerfed and damaged their zones. Like Warlord's zone is almost cut in half damage wise, and it feels a lot better playing against Warlord because you're not just getting like destroyed by this unpunishable zone that hits everything. So I could definitely see, like, Warlord's definitely still like a strong team fighter, but I don't know if he's still mandatory.
Yeah,
per se.
which I think is good. I don't necessarily like the idea of having mandatory picks. I like the idea of having strong picks that you probably should play, but mandatory, I don't think mandatory picks are necessarily the most healthiest for.
I don't think they're good either. No.
I mean, even in League of Legends, there's like what 150 characters or something, but there are still top meta picks, but there isn't like a character that you absolutely must have on either side, which I think is good.
I don't know, but probably.
All right. Well, I know Freeze is on a little bit of a time schedule, so I want to be respect his time. Before we go, is there anything that you guys wanted to shout out? I do have commands for everybody that has YouTube, Twitch, and everything. I don't remember if I said Kai or Kaiayos here.
Shout out twitch.tv/Niento. He's really cute. You should watch him.
Without Marducky, Kai.
Ducky's really cool too.
Yeah.
She has
Well,
Ducky, but like Nui, he's best boy.
All right.
Duck.
So we got
I don't have-
Marducky. We have Nuento.
See that?
Was there anything that you wanted to shout out, Freeze, before we?
I'm good. It's good.
I think
Good
everyone
command.
here already knows.
Agree.
So
Well, I mean, just in case, I don't know. Some people, when they come on, they like to shout out other people's Twitch. Like, I'm pretty sure Legion's stream is shouted out the most from people who don't have Twitch stream. So like,
Rusty Rat.
You should tell me that beforehand. I would have thought about that then. No, I can't. I'm not pulling one out of the hat. No. No. I have to think about that.
wait, here's my shout out. Go watch Soldier Boy. Yeah,
All right.
he's streaming Twitch. So
there you go. You heard it here. I think most people here know where to find me. You obviously found my Twitch channel. You can find me on Twitter at Soresu5 as well. You can keep up with all the things that I post. do For Honor stuff. I'll post on stream about stream times. I'll post about podcasts and everything. So that's the best place to keep up with me. If you're watching this on YouTube, I appreciate you guys watching through the entire video, a little over 2 hours. Subscribe to the channel, hit like as well. We definitely appreciate all the help there. It helps people get to my video with the algorithm and everything. And we're close to 100 subs, so I can get that custom URL. Pretty excited for that. But yeah, leave a comment down below if for feedback for the channel. If there's something that you want to add, or you want to get a discussion going on something in the CCU that you really liked or disliked, let us know in the comments below. And yeah, thanks for watching on YouTube, and we will see you next